Hi guys, happy Monday. My name is Tina. I'm a certified sobriety and transformation coach. Thank you for tuning in. I am here every Monday to give you some tips and tricks around an alcohol-free lifestyle, as well as how to change long-term destructive habits. So last week I spoke a little bit about the understanding of the conscious and the subconscious mind. When we like to change a behavior, especially destructive behavior such as drinking too much or overeating, whatever it might be, the root of the issue always lays in the subconscious mind. So that's why I went into it a little bit last week to help you understand the roles the conscious and the subconscious mind play. And today I'd like to talk a little bit more about the 4 stages of the mind, because depending on our age, we take in information at different levels, which is why later on in life, those programs that we have accepted and believed at a younger age most likely no longer work for us when we're older. And that is when we start to change or try to change, and when we realize, wow, this changing thing is actually really difficult. So today, bear with me because I have to read a little bit. So I'm going to look to your right or left, wherever you see that in the screen, and read. But it's really to understand, or to help you understand, how our mind works, because once you understand that, it is easier to change. So I hope you can bear with me. So let's start. So the 4 stages of mind, to understand how you ended up with programs that make no sense to you and are not serving you very well. It helps to understand the stages of the mind, which is what I'm trying to do today. So the first stage is the beta, B-E-T-A stage. As adults, we are in the beta state for most of our waking hours. Our brain radiates these waves 13 cycles per second, often greatly higher, when we are thinking, reasoning, or engaging in problem solving. That wasn't, however, the case when we were children. So again, as adults, we are mostly in that state, but it hasn't been like this always. Then there's alpha. As adults, we are naturally in the alpha state about 20% of the time. As children, between the ages of 3 and 7, we are in the alpha state about 90% of the time, which is one of the reasons why you have programs and patterns that are not serving you well as an adult. In the alpha state, our brainwaves cycle between 8 and 13 cycles per second. It is here that the door between our conscious and subconscious mind is opened. Moving into this state as an adult makes it easier to access the memories and storage of the new information so we can update it. As a child, without the filters of logic to protect us, this state leaves us wide open to any suggestion. We take things literally that were not intended that way, and everything gets our attention, gets programmed in. So to recap this, because it was long, basically, our subconscious mind has no filter. It takes the data as is. The conscious mind is the logical mind. The subconscious mind just takes as is. So when we are a little between the ages of 3 and 7, we do live 90% in the alpha state, which is the door to the subconscious mind. So whatever we were told during that age automatically gets programmed into our subconscious mind if we take it on as a belief. So let's say maybe you had a mean older brother and he told you, oh, you're just dumb, you never amount to anything. Or maybe your kindergarten teacher said, oh, you're too little, you can't do that, you're too little. Or you're fat. I mean, there's so many things that can be said that we as little children, we take the information as is and we take it in, and it's programmed in our subconscious mind, and we start believing it, and that becomes our inner state of being, so to speak. So we act according to what we believe, and as children we simply don't know any better. So that was the alpha state, and again, as children we are in there for about 90% of the time. As adults, only about 20% of the time. The next state is the theta state. So below the 2 conscious states are theta, between 4 to 8 cycles per second, and then also delta. Theta is a deep trance state. In adulthood, it is the REM or dream state, or in waking, a deep reverie of trance state, when we are just going to sleep but not quite there yet. or just awakened but not yet fully awake. We're either in alpha or or in theta. Except for passing through on the way to sleep, adults rarely enter this state while awake. It is mostly utilized in adults in the sleeping dream state. That is not true of young children. From birth through age 2, children are in this state about 60% of the time, which means they are frequently in a deep trance state and very open to suggestions. At alpha and theta, the two stages children are in most of the time, our words have enormous power. Combine adamantly spoken words with an emotion of physical pain and you have the making of a subconscious program. So let me read this again. At alpha and theta, the two states children are in most of the time, all of us are in those two states most of the time, our words have enormous power. Combine adamantly spoken words with an emotion of physical pain and you have the making of a subconscious program. Imagine the number of times you were scolded or punished for doing something or not doing something someone thought you should. Imagine the number of words and phrases that made their way into your unfiltered subconscious mind and took root there. Is it any wonder that you seem to sabotage yourself all the time? The reality is there is no such thing as self-sabotage. What we see as self-sabotage is really a conflict between the conscious desires and the subconscious program. The program are never there to sabotage you, however. They're there to protect your physical and conceptual bodies. Unfortunately, the conceptual body was formed for the most part before you reach the age of reason, which is around 8 years old. So your conceptual self is largely unreasonable. So if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. You might have a situation now as an adult that might be super innocent. Let's say you're going out with a friend and that friend has a really harsh tone and all of a sudden you feel this trigger. It just triggers you tremendously and it brings you back maybe to childhood. Maybe you were always yelled at when you were little, or you were not heard, or you were overpowered. You feel overpowered. And it can stem from the ages between 2 and 7 years old, when maybe you didn't have a voice, when people were talking over you, when you weren't seen. And that carries on. You know, your belief system that you formed at that age might have been, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worth it, I don't deserve love, all those things, and you internalized them and you took them on as a belief system. And now when you're an adult, you feel this disconnect because really it's not you who you are deep down inside, and it's not your truth. It's just something that you took on that you didn't know any better when you were little. So to fill that void and that disconnect, or to deal with triggers that come up and those feelings that come up, you turn to drinking, for example, or to some form of numbing, so you don't have to feel that dissonance that's going on between your conscious mind knowing, no, that's not me, and I am smart and I am capable, I can do better, but then your subconscious mind is not in alignment with that. And as long as those two are fighting, your conscious with your subconscious mind, change is very hard to create, because you aren't aligned with your programming and the logical conscious mind. So the way that we change that, and I'll talk about that next week because I don't want this too long, it's already 9 minutes again. The way that you really change those patterns, because really what it is, it's a belief system that you took on when you were little and that now no longer serves you. And to get rid of those limiting or self-limiting beliefs, we have to first become aware of them. So it first starts with really observing how you speak to yourself and how you speak to others. If you are somebody that always says, oh, I can never finish anything, I always start things but I just can't finish things, or I'll never get that job, I'm just not smart enough, like little things like that. And it doesn't always be so obvious, sometimes it's very subtle, and it's really a belief that you have. Sometimes it's triggered by other people that mirror it back to you, and if there's something that triggers it within you, then that's a sign that that's something that you can work on, then that is most likely a belief system that is no longer serving you. So if you have a friend or someone, a boss or somebody that just makes you mad and gets you upset all the time, then pause for a minute, look within and say, what is it? Like, what is it within me that's causing me to feel that way? Nobody can make you feel anything, you know, it's within us. So, and then become aware of the thoughts. What were you thinking that you were feeling that way? And is that still true for you? And if it's not true, we just find evidence for a different truth that you can adopt. I always take this belief with alcohol, where I often felt it would help me deal with stress, or it would help me turn my brain off. And it was a belief system that I took on and that I truly believed until it was hurting me, until it wasn't working any longer. And then I started examining those beliefs, started doing something else, and found a different way of coping with stress. It took time and it took practice, and you have to do it over and over again. It's pretty much like training for anything, and you have to stick with it. That's important too, to, let's say you have 30, 40, 50, 60 days under your belt not drinking. It's like a muscle that you need to keep trained. As soon as we stop, the danger of falling back into old patterns, especially when our triggers come back up again and we're not always necessarily aware, is always going to be there. So it takes work, just like, you know, you wanting to change your diet. Are you going to change your diet only for 2 months and you're doing great, and then after 2 months you're done and you're like, oh, now I'm gonna just eat whatever? Well, you can, but if that's not something that aligns with your values and with who you see yourself with, then it's probably not helpful. So I know that was long, and I'm going to stop now at around 11-12 minutes. I will post the 4 stages of the minds and how we take information in the files into this group after my video aired. And I would love for you to read through it and see if anything resonates with you. Can you recall up old belief systems that you have, that you still deep down operate on, even though you know by now that they're not serving you any longer? Like, what is holding you back from becoming the best self? What is holding you back from maybe staying alcohol free? Or what is holding you back from losing those last 20 pounds, or for going for this job, or for marrying that person that you love so much? And most likely it's always rooted in our childhood and how we took on beliefs that weren't even ours. I hope that helps, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And if you have any questions, as always, tag me in the comments and reach out. You can email me, however you like to get hold of me. Facebook comment, Messenger. I am here to help. My name is Tina, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks. Bye.